Throughout the ages, countless legends and stories have been told about Gog and Magog. Horrifying tales of innumerable armies seeking to destroy the earth, sow chaos, and kill all that is alive. It's said they reside behind a great barrier. But if they are in our world, why can we not see them? And why do we know so little about them? What is the source of this overwhelming dread and fear of their emergence? The name of Gog and Magog evokes both terror and wonder. From the pages of the Quran to the Holy Bible, and from ancient texts to folklore. But who are Gog and Magog truly? How have the divine books and historical records depicted them? When will they emerge? What are they waiting for? And what are the signs that foretell their arrival? What wars have they waged? And most importantly, what will happen when they are released? And how will their story end? Many people doubt their existence or the possibility of their emergence, claiming they are merely a concept, a plague, or a symbol of ruin and destruction. Are they real or just a myth? But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Your support is what keeps me going. Now let's delve into this intriguing episode, where I will satisfy your curiosity and answer all your questions, both the ones you have and the ones you haven't even thought of about Gog and Magog. Alright, let's start with the origins of their names. In the Arabic language, it's said that the word Yajuj, Gog, may be derived from Ajij, meaning the blazing of a fire or a glowing flame. This interpretation suggests that Gog represents a destructive force akin to fire, a symbol of swift and violent ruin. As for Majuj, Magog, it's said to be derived from Mauj, the word of the turbulence or agitation of the sea. This meaning can allude to the chaotic and devastatingly powerful nature associated with the unpredictable and relentless fury of raging waters. In Hebrew, it is believed that the word Gog may be linked to a word meaning to surround, evoking the idea of invasion and threat. As for Magog, it could be understood as associated with a word meaning region or land, reflecting a geographical concept. The names can be interpreted as referring to enemies or forces that threaten a certain entity, which aligns with the rule as symbols of evil in religious texts. There are also claims that the names Yajuj and Majuj may have been derived from the Chinese, meaning the land of horses. And now, let's move to their origins and characteristics. The roots of the Gog and Magog tribes trace back to religious texts and mythological accounts in many cultures, where they are seen as symbol of chaos and destruction. Though their exact origins remain shrouded in mystery and not clearly defined, there are several narratives and interpretations presented about their origins in various religious and historical sources. In Islam, it is believed that Gog and Magog are descendants of Japheth, the son of Noah. They are mentioned in the Quran as a savage tribes who caused corruption, and Dul Carnain built a great barrier to prevent them from harming the people. The Quran and Hadith indicate that they are from the progeny of Adam, meaning they are human beings. In the Holy Scriptures, in the Old Testament, Book of Ezekiel, Gog refers to a land or chief from the land called Magog, symbolizing a hostile nation or tribe. In the New Testament, Book of Revelation, Gog and Magog represent the forces of evil that will gather for a final battle against good at the end of times. In Jewish theology, Gog and Magog represent hostile nations that will appear at the end of the times to wage war against Israel. This war is seen as a sign of approaching messianic era. Religious texts and ancient writings agree that Gog and Magog are symbols of disorder, destruction, and barbarism. As for their physical descriptions, there is no consistent or accurate depiction in any of the three Abrahamic religions. All that is documented in books and narratives is that among them the short and the giant, with broad, pale faces, very small eyes and noses, and black hair. This physical depiction leans towards an Asian ethnic appearance, which is why it's said that the leader Genghis Khan may have been one of their descendants. I'll explain the reasoning later in the episode. We also know that folklore and popular literature have played a role in exaggerating these portrayals, going so far to depict them as demonic, non-human creatures. But I won't go into the ideas of kids and fantasy prophecies, and narratives of unknown sources. The religious texts have collectively stated that their strength and ferocity are immense, and that no one can stand against them. Among the descriptions recorded is that they multiply in staggering numbers, that each man of them die, leaving behind 1,000 of his armed offspring. It's even said that their total numbers are 10 times that of all humankind, meaning for each one of us there are 9 of them. Yet, if they are so large in number and so great in power, then where are they now? Why do we not see them? And most importantly, from where will they emerge? Some historians believe that Gog and Magog were actually human tribes that live in remote regions, likely in northern Asia and Russia, and were associated with the Mongols and Tatars, groups that swept across the world with unmatched level of savagery and bloodshed. Other theories suggest they represented people who lived between Caspian and Black Seas. There are speculations that they may have been nomadic tribes from the Central Asian steppes. It's also proposed that the Caucasus region, where Derbent stands, could be the actual location of the mythical barrier. Some theories even suggest that Gog and Magog symbolize nations that will appear in the end of times, such as those from the Americans, with the barrier representing the oceans. The Islamic retelling says that Gog and Magog live behind a barrier built by Dul Carnain, and they will emerge in the end times, spreading corruption and ruin across the earth. Of course, this raises the natural question, who exactly was Dul Carnain? What is the story behind this barrier, and where is it? You're right, my friend, Dul Carnain is also a figure of much mystery and debate. Many believe he was none other than Alexander the Great, but there is no historical evidence to conclusively confirm this connection. In fact, scholars assert that Dul Carnain's time predates that of Alexander the Macedonian by centuries. I don't want to go too deep into that particular controversy right now, cause there will be an entire episode to explore the truth about Dul Carnain, but in summary, Dul Carnain was a righteous king mentioned by God in the Quran. He traveled the earth, spreading justice and reform. God had granted him the means of strength, knowledge, and authority over the land, enabling him to achieve great victories and spread justice through his many journeys. During his travels, Dul Carnain reached a nation living between two mountains. They complained of constant attacks from Gog and Magog, savage tribes that wreaked havoc on the land, destroying their possessions and harming them. Seeing Dul Carnain as the only one capable of delivering them from this torment, they asked for his help in holding back these monsters, offering him wealth in return. Dul Carnain agreed to assist them but refused the payment, stating that he would help on the condition that they contribute labor. He then decided to build a barrier to protect them from the intrusion of Gog and Magog. Allah said in Surah Al-Kahf, "They pleaded, O Dul Carnain, surely Gog and Magog are spreading corruption throughout the land. Should we pay you tribute, provided that you build a wall between us and them?" He responded, "What my Lord has provided for me is far better. But assist me with resources and I will build a barrier between you and them. Bring me blocks of iron." Then when he had filled up the gap between the two mountains, he ordered, "Lo, when the iron became red hot," he said, "bring me molten copper to pour over it." The constructions of the barrier proceeded as follows. Dul Carnain requested that the people gather all the iron they had. He then placed the iron pieces between the two mountains that formed the gap through which Gog and Magog were entering, creating the basic framework of the barrier. These iron pieces were stacked in layers in a successive manner. After arranging the iron, Dul Carnain lit a fire underneath the iron blocks to heat them. This process helped strengthen the iron, transforming it into a more durable material. Once the iron was heated, molten copper was then poured over it. This step made the barrier extraordinarily strong and cohesive, making it impenetrable to Gog and Magog. They would be unable to climb or breach it. So the barrier was constructed, preventing Gog and Magog from reaching the people who had been suffering their attacks. However, God has mentioned in the Quran that this barrier will stand until he grants permission for Gog and Magog to emerge at the end of times, as they will be one of the great signs of the apocalypse. For Gog and Magog ceaselessly dig until they almost breach the wall, and being to see the light on the other side, their leader then tell them, "Enough for today, we shall complete it tomorrow and break through." But each time the barrier miraculously regains its strength by the will of God, until the appointed hour when He allows their release. Now I hear you questioning this barrier and these billions of creatures in the year 25, with the whole world mapped out. Where is this barrier, and where are Gog and Magog? Well, the conspiracy theorists and lovers of fantasy are here with answers. Some say a great earthquake struck the area, turning the earth upside down, causing the barrier and the people to vanish underground. They, Gog and Magog, now live in isolation from the sun in Earth's interior. This here a reference to the Greys or reptilians, or the alleged inhabitants of the Earth's core. This, they argue, supports of the theories of the hollow Earth, or the giant governance system within the planet. Others even go so far as to suggest that Dul Carnain was in fact Zeus from Greek mythology, who imprisoned the giants beneath the earth. This perception is of course just fantasy and speculation, entirely unscientific, given the advances in modern geographical surveying and scientific progress. Curiously though, funny enough, the very supporters of this theory are flat earthers. I mean really, it's like a full-blown cosmic conspiracy theory from the underground government, ladies and gents. Some thinkers consider Gog and Magog are not actual tribes or savage creatures, but rather representing the forces of corruption and destruction in the world, such as wars, epidemics, and natural disasters. In this context, they are understood as symbols of the dangers that threaten humanity, from weapons and nuclear radiation to technological risks, extremism, and terrorism. While some insist on the literal interpretations of religious texts, the symbolic approach offers deeper reflection on contemporary challenges. As such, the tale of Gog and Magog is seen as a warning about the forces of evil that may sweep the world, mirroring humanity's fear of chaos and destruction. What about you guys? What do you think? Now let me tell you what will happen when they are released, and how our world will be transformed. This is the most bloody part of the story. It said that upon the release, Gog and Magog will consume everything in their path, ravaging everything in their way. Imagine this, if they pass by a lake, the first of them will drink from it, and when the last reaches it, he will say, "They say there was a water here," and the lake will have dried up completely, as if the water was never there. Their savagery is manifested in their immense physical strength, for it said they are capable of crushing everything without mercy. They instill terror in the hearts of people, making fear a constant companion for all who face them. They are characterized by chaos and brutality, for it said they are capable of crushing everything without mercy, like supernatural forces embodying corruption and destruction. Devastation, pandemonium, and bloodshed will be everywhere. Truly horrifying, isn't it? So what do you guys think? Do you truly believe they are remorseless humans like us? Or are they demonic beings that defy imagination? Alright, let's see what Arabs have to say about this. We have discussed their war with Dul Carnain, which considered their first battle. We have also described their appearance and traits, which are said to resemble the Mongols. But why this comparison? Listen guys. The Mongols, under the leadership of Genghis Khan and the Nulagu, were known for bringing widespread devastation to the lands they invaded. During the wars they waged in the 13th and 14th centuries, wherever they went, all signs of life would vanish. They were infamous for their insatiable thirst for killing, bloodshed, and destruction. Now, let's take a journey to the year 1256 AD. In this year, the Islamic world was experiencing a period of cultural and scientific prosperity, but this flourishing was about to face one of its worst challenges. Hulagu had set his sights on Baghdad, the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate, which was renowned as symbol of civilization and learning. Baghdad at the time was a symbol of science and knowledge, with its thriving libraries and academic institutions. Hulagu sent messages to the Caliph al-Mu'tasim, demanding his surrender and the handing over the city. But this was met with refusal. The Caliph believed that the city of Baghdad could not be defended defeated, unaware of the full threat posed by the Mongol hordes. The Mongol forces began the siege of Baghdad. The sheer numbers of the Mongol soldiers were truly terrifying. They employed the latest siege tactics, cutting off the city's supplies, leading to severe shortages of food and water. After several weeks of resistance, the city fell into the hands of the Mongols. The Mongols entered Baghdad in February 10, 1258, and the massacre began. The population was subjected to mass killings, with homes and markets set ablaze. Scholars and elders were slaughtered, and the libraries containing treasures of knowledge collapsed. The House of Wisdom was destroyed, and the books representing the essence of Islamic thought were burned. The estimated number of those killed in that massacre reached into the hundreds of thousands. The Mongols lined the banks on the Tigris River, which turned blue from the books and ink tossed into it, and at other times red from the abundance of blood and corpses thrown in it. The destruction was not only physical, but also spiritual. The vestiges of civilization, once considered among the greatest in human history, were lost. The chaos in Baghdad persisted for a long time after the siege. The traces of destruction were evident in every corner of the city. It took decades for the city to regain a part of its former grandeur, but the scars left by Hulagu were unforgettable. The great shock when the Mongols entered and the people witnessed their actions. They all began to hysterically scream that Gog and Magog had emerged. This was due to the savagery that surpassed description, the chaos and devastation they had brought with them. This belief was supported by a prophetic hadith that spoke of Gog and Magog. Their appearance. This belief persisted until the year 1260, after the leaders Saif ad-Din Qutuz and al-Zahir Baybars confronted the Mongols and halted their advance towards Damascus. This battle is known as the Battle of Ain Jalut, and the result was a Muslim victory, with the complete annihilation of the Mongol army. After this triumph, the Arab began to recede from the belief that the Mongols are Gog and Magog. They had seen that the manner of the Mongols' death did not match what was mentioned in the prophetic hadith about the demise of Gog and Magog, which point to a specific way of their perish, and that is our next stop. In Islam and the prophetic traditions, after Gog and Magog have spread corruption on earth and killed all signs of life, God will create a worm from their bodies that will destroy them all, leaving none behind. The animals will feed until they are satisfied, and after that, a rain will descend to purify the earth from their trace. In Christianity, in the New Testament, specifically in the book of Revelation, Gog and Magog are referred to as symbols of the evil forces that will gather under the leadership of Satan at the end of times. In this final battle, God will send fire from the heavens to burn them, signifying the victory of good over evil. In Judaism, in the Holy Scriptures, specifically the book of Ezekiel, they are considered as symbols of the enemies who will attack the people of Israel in the end times. The prophecies indicate that they will ultimately gather to wage war against the chosen people, but they will face a crushing defeat at the hands of God. Well, after all this, what does science say? As for the scientific view, the topic of Gog and Magog falls within the realm of mythology and legends that have spread through various religions and cultures, and it remains a subject of discussion among researchers and those interested in history and religious symbolism. From a purely scientific standpoint, there is no geographical or archaeological evidence that prove the existence of a physical barrier that prevents tribes or billions of beings like Gog and Magog from emerging to the world, as mentioned in the religious texts. Modern geographical surveying techniques, including satellite imagery, have not revealed any structure that corresponds to the descriptions of the mentioned barrier. The idea that the barrier is now underground due to earthquakes, changes in Earth's surface, or other geological factors is completely rejected by science. However, for theists, there are many ideas that science cannot prove or disprove. The most important of which is the spirit. Faith, by definition, requires the existence of the unseen, something you haven't seen but have felt, convinced, and embraced. Otherwise, it would be simply a matter of affirmation or rejection. You have witnessed something and accepted it, and the matter has ended there. You can't expect science to prove the existence of God in a laboratory and through some experiments. This is, of course, not a shortcoming of science, but simply not within its scope. The matter is is related to a spiritual aspect that you feel but cannot see. In the end, Gog and Magog remain a mysterious subject that attracts a great deal of interest, and study between traditional religious interpretations and modern scientific explanations. The most important question remains: are Gog and Magog real, existing somewhere beyond the Great Barrier or underground, or are they merely an idea, or a symbol that represent the chaos, destruction, and killing that may afflict the world? Are we facing a mysterious beings who will appear in the end times, or is this nothing more than mythological tales? Will we one day discover the full truth about Gog and Magog, or will they remain shrouded in mystery? What is your 2 cents? Anyway, I'm eager to hear your thoughts and comments on this topic that's been captivating the world for centuries and no one's been able to figure out. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That's what really keeps me motivated to keep going. Catch you in the next one.